We all remember what it was like to be a hormonal teenager, and most of us wish to forget the memories of our first heartbreak, yet cherish the memories of our senior prom. Today, the challenges that teens face, such as bullying, suicide, and eating disorders, I believe can be exacerbated by the pressures of social media, which then can lead to mental and emotional instability in some teens. This is why it is important for counseling services to be offered to teens in diverse settings. So today we will discuss the three settings for teenage counseling. One, the high school setting, two, the college university setting, and three, the church setting. The first location of counseling can be the high school setting, which I believe is the most common. Most high schools offer counseling to teens who are just desiring that older, mature voice in their lives. But specifically, some teens lack a support system at home, and so they are more so desiring an older person to come alongside them and help them through the process of high school. In addition to that, counselors can also offer counseling for teens who are going through grief, whether it's because a student died in the school or they personally lost a loved one. Counselors can come alongside them in that grieving process. Counselors, in addition to that, can offer counseling for teens that are trying to decide where they want to go in life, whether that's career oriented or college oriented. And most high schools require students to meet with a counselor in order to graduate. Teenagers are supposed to commonly receive counseling in high school, but another popular setting is the college university setting. Teens that were possibly sheltered in high school have a hard time transitioning to the college life, and this high amount of stress mixed with the life transition is kind of like the perfect storm and very incredibly hard for some students to handle. And some students experience academic pressures from their peers and from their family, which then can have a negative effect on their grades. But counselors should not dismiss this. They should be able to walk through the process with these students and these teens. It's important to know that males and females, while we suffer with the same mental health issues, we go through it differently. Males tend to be a little bit more external with the violence and the substance abuse, whereas the women are a little bit more emotionally vulnerable and therefore struggle with depression and anxiety on a more outward level, and a more deeper level. While the high school and college settings are important, the church setting is equally so. Many churches offer Christian counselors or mentors for teens, and there are a few practical and biblical reasons for this. There's positive outcomes for teens who see a mentor regularly. They tend to stay in school, they tend to have good grades, and they tend to enroll in college as well. There's a developmental stage in the spiritual walk for teens. They are actively seeking about God's character and about who He is. And in Titus 2, we see that the older women are instructed to instruct the younger women and come alongside them. And that's why it's important for counselors to be equipped with spiritual tools and to be able to provide that safe place and that relationship of trust for these students. Teens do not respond well to feeling forced into this. However, Paul talks about this in 2 Timothy chapter 2, where he tells the church to teach those who need it. And so counselors have a biblical responsibility to impart understanding of God's character into these younger teens, and then leave it up to them to ask the tough questions and wrestle with it themselves. So today I shared with you the three settings for teenage counseling: the high school setting, the college setting, and the church setting. Teenagers face high social pressures, life transitions, and questions about their spirituality, and counselors in various settings should be equipped to offer support both spiritually and psychologically. I believe that the current generation of teens today would suffer if counseling services would cease to exist. Social issues would increase to a level outside of anyone's control, and I believe that there is a divine purpose behind biblical counseling services being readily accessible, and I hope that we as adults will continue to support teens in each setting.